Hi everyone. So being in Korea for so long, I've changed in a lot more ways than I've realized, and I hadn't been back to my hometown in over 2 years, and recently I went back to visit, and there was I had a lot of experiences that made me realize how much I've changed and how much I've kind of been Koreanized in a way. So I experienced a lot of reverse culture shock in my own city, and it was just such a strange feeling. I think I felt almost like a foreigner in my own city, which was so weird. Some were really obvious changes and some were more subtle that like other people kind of noticed. When I first arrived in Melbourne, I was being driven home and I was looking at the sky and I was just so in awe of it. Like, it felt so big and bright, and like you can see the sky in Korea, but because there's so much like pollution here and there's a lot of tall buildings everywhere, it's a different feeling. Being like having such a like open and bright clear sky with like no pollution, it was such a amazing feeling to see it. It made me feel like I'd been living in a cave in Korea or something and I just came out into the light. It was so weird to feel like that, because like here in Korea I do have the sky, like I can see the sky right here, but the sky is kind of like, it doesn't feel clear, it's kind of dark and it always has this kind of feeling. And I think there was like a lot of moments during the trip where I just kind of looked at the sky and I was just in awe of it. It was, I never noticed how much I appreciated the sky before. It also felt like really strange to be able to like speak and hear English everywhere. That was something I never thought I'd feel weird by. The first time I went to a restaurant, I got really excited to order in English. It was really weird. Like, I felt eternally like so happy that I could order in English, and like I was using full sentences and I was being like extra polite, and I even had a conversation with the guy because he just asked like some questions about my day, like having small talk that cashiers sometimes do, and like I was all for it. It was so weird how like excited I was to just speak English to random people. But I think like as my trip went on, it started feeling weirder to not hear Korean anymore. Like I was starting to like, I felt like I was getting like withdrawal symptoms or something, and I was kind of starting to crave hearing Korean. So I started like watching Korean stuff on Netflix, and that was helping a bit. Like, I think when I do go back eventually, I'm probably gonna have that for the first few weeks or month or something, unless I like make lots of Korean friends and just speak Korean a lot. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I feel like that will happen because I speak Korean every day here, and I hear it every day and I see it every day, so it's such a weird change. And oh my gosh, the best part of the trip was the food, and it was insane. I ate so much food. I gained a lot of weight. I've lost like most of the weight that I gained while I was there, but I still I gained way too much weight in just 2 weeks. It was so bad. Like because the bathroom where I was taking a shower every day, there was a scale there, so I just checked myself every morning, and I was going up like a kilo like every few days. It was horrible. Oh, but it was just so good to have such amazing variety of food. Like, Korea does have really good food, but you get very tired of eating the same food all the time, especially when you're from a place where you eat a lot of different kinds of food. You just get tired of eating the same stuff all the time. And like, even though there is a lot of non-Korean food in Korea, I think majority of it tends to get Koreanized, and sometimes it can be good, but you're still having the same kinds of flavors all the time. Everything's quite oily and sweetened and salty, but even a lot of salty stuff is also sweetened. And yeah, and a lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff that's fried or oily, and it's all covered in cheese or lots of sauces and stuff, and like that stuff is really delicious, but like you can't keep eating that. Like, it's really bad for you, and it's also like it gets really tiring as well. Like, I think for me, I think I'm very sensitive to oil, so if I eat something that's really oily, like I can't have too much and I can't eat it too often, otherwise I'll get really nauseous. And that's one of the things that I felt like there's things that I really like the taste of in Korea that are very oily, but I can't even finish a whole thing just because of the amount of oil in it, and it's horrible. because like I want to be able to enjoy food more, but there's like a lot of stuff is just too oily or too covered in too much cheese, which is sad to say because I love cheese so much. Yeah, honestly, I don't even remember a time where I was even hungry during that trip. I was just constantly full, and there was just so many times where I was just like, I was so full that I couldn't even move. But all the food that I ate was so good, and I definitely wouldn't be eating like that. I don't eat like that when I'm in Korea, and I don't eat that like that when I'm in Australia. It's just because I missed so much food and I had such a little time to eat everything. But I think like living in Korea for so long and like kind of being deprived of all those things, and then going back and having like a new appreciation for it, it really made me it really like gave me a strong desire to experiment with food more. And I'm hoping that you guys are gonna be able to see more of that on this channel, but I'm just waiting for the weather to cool down because I can't really record videos with my fan and my aircon on because they're quite noisy and you won't be able to hear things. I also remember the first time I went to the city during the trip, and I started feeling almost like a sensory overload sort of feeling and a bit of like anxiety happening. It was kind of weird. Like I think it was kind of like a feeling of like I was in a place that I'm familiar with, but so much was like unfamiliar, and it's kind of like uncanny feeling. Like it felt like a dream sort of, and it was like that feeling in the place that I was in, but then also like the people I was around was like they were all different and it was weird. But that feeling didn't last very long. It was only like around 10 minutes and then I got over it, but that initial feeling, it was like a big shock to me to experience that. And then there were a lot of like smaller things that other people noticed that I didn't really notice I was doing. Like when we're at the table, I'd like serve everyone their drinks and I'd hold and receive things with 2 hands, and even when I give stuff to people, I'll give it with 2 hands. I think it just became a natural thing because you kind of like, it's a polite thing to do in Korea, so it just became so natural to me, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. There were times where I was like almost bowing at people, but I had to like stop myself like immediately before I did it. Like those times I was like, and then I was like, no, stop. It was actually really annoying because I had to like force myself to not do something that I just do naturally. And I remember there was a time where I was complaining to my friends about how early things closed, and for them it was just so normal, and like it was always normal for me because I remember I had Korean friends before I came to Korea, and they'd complain about how things closed early, and I was just like, why do you need things to be open late? And then now that I've been in Korea for so long, I can't understand why everything closes so early. Like I couldn't even buy something like after 8 because the what would you even call that? The store that sells like clothes and candies and stuff like that kind of stuff, like it was closed. It closed at 8, and I was so disappointed because in Korea I could probably go shopping until like midnight. So yeah, that was something that was kind of like challenging for me being back. And it's like, I think it's a thing that like if you live there, you get so used to it and it's just such a normal thing. But when you're used to what it's like in Korea where everything's like open till very late, you can't handle it. So I think like when I do go back, I'm gonna struggle for the first like few weeks at least. And the last thing was a bit embarrassing. Like in Korea, when you pay for something with your card, you give your card to the cashier and then they do everything for you. But in Australia, when you pay with your card, you put the card yourself into the machine and you type in your PIN and everything. And I completely forgotten about that. So when I went to pay, I was like holding my card up like at the cashier's like face. Like I was just holding it up, and then she was just like staring at me like, I don't know, like I didn't even realize. Like I swear there was a solid like 3 seconds where she was just staring at me and me holding up my card at her, and then there's like people behind me. I don't even know if they were looking at me, but I felt like they were. And then after like a few seconds, I was just like, oh right. And then I remember to put my card in, but oh, it was so weird. I felt like in that moment, like the entire store was just staring at me. But yeah, it was like it was really embarrassing like while I was in the moment, but it was pretty funny to think like to look back on after it happened. But anyways, I don't think like any of these things are bad things, and like I really like kind of like looking into myself and seeing the ways I've changed over time and seeing how things have influenced me. I'm really curious how how much of these are gonna like stay with me when I go back permanently. But anyway, these are my experiences visiting my hometown recently, and if you've experienced reverse culture shock before, please let me know. Like, I really like this stuff and I'm really curious about how you guys have experienced it as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.